Okay, so in lesson 7, you are introduced to the pen tool, and this is a pretty mighty tool in Illustrator. It's what really allows you to create some complex illustrations with organic curves and shapes that aren't basic circles and squares like we have been working with. It is a little bit harder to get used to, but once you master it, it's gonna literally, you can draw anything with it. And this is what the pros say, that most students should spend the entire semester learning in Illustrator, is the pen tool. So we're only dedicating like a week or two to this, so I want to make sure that you understand how to use it and that you can move forward with practicing it so you can become really adept at it. Now, with this, I want you to make sure that you are looking in the textbook and you are reading through all the directions and taking it slow, because I'm not going to cover everything, but hopefully this overview helps you to see how this should work. And I'm going to do that very quickly, so it's not a huge video for you guys. The first thing you're going to do is grab the pen tool, make sure it doesn't have a fill and it has a 1 or 2 point stroke. It doesn't really matter. I make mine black so it's easy to see. I also go up to my preferences and change my anchor display to max so that the anchors look really big. So in the book, it explains all the different parts of a path, the anchor, the path, the handle, all that. So make sure you're reading that part first. But we're going to create corner anchor points, which are just straight corners with straight lines attached to them. So we can do that easily by clicking on each place we want an anchor point. Just click, 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 and click. And then if you want to close this shape, you can hover over the last one. You can see the circle on the pen tool. That tells you it's a closed shape. But we actually don't want to close this shape, so we're going to hit the Command or Control key on your keyboard, which temporarily changes to the direct selection tool, and click off to stop drawing. You can also hit Escape or Option click, maybe not Option click, but you can hit Escape or Command click to get out of drawing that illustration. So now I can come back with my selection tool and I can change anything here, the fill, the stroke, whatever, and it'll be good to go. If I wanted to continue, I'll show you what it'll look like if you wanted to delete this line segment. So if I want to delete one segment of this illustration, I can click the direct selection tool and then select that particular path. Sometimes you have to click off and then click that one path, and then you can hit delete, and that's going to delete that path. The reason why I show you that is because you can grab the pen tool and connect your illustration again or two illustrations by hovering over an endpoint, and you'll see that the pen has a slash to the bottom right. That tells you that you're going to continue this path. So I can come and add anchor points here. If I mistakenly added anchor points, don't hit delete, just do Command or Control Z to get back to where you want, and then come and connect that, and now it's a connected illustration. So again, Command click to click off of it, and now we'll go to Artboard tool 2. So this one is where you're going to create an arrow, and the point of this one is to show you that you can draw straight lines. So it's pretty much the same, except for now when I click, I'm going to hold Shift down, and I'm going to click again, continue to hold Shift, and it's constraining it. Where here I can draw any, like if I let go of Shift, I can draw a line any which way. If I hold Shift, you can see that it only constrains itself to 45-degree angles. So to keep something perfectly straight, I continue to hold Shift and then click. Now if I'm still holding Shift, you can see that I can't make this particular roof angle. So I'm going to let go of Shift and click, click, hold Shift again because now I'm in a straight line area. So click, click, and click to close that shape. Once it's a closed shape, I can go ahead and add a color and do a fill. Oops, see, and then I started to do a new illustration. So then artboard number 3 is when we start to do curves. Really take your time with this section. But basically what you're going to do is, instead of just clicking now, you're going to have to click and drag to pull a handle up, and a handle controls the curve. So just know that you always want to move your first handle in the direction you want the curve to go. So if I want the curve to go up, I'd pull the handle up. If I want it to go down, I'd pull the handle down. So clicking here and dragging up, I'm going to go up to this red dot. And then when I am done, I'm going to go to this red dot and pull and drag down. So I'm just clicking and dragging my mouse. So now what you can see is I have created a curve, and this little blue line that's following me, that's called the rubber band or the path preview. This is showing you that if I were to click right here, it's going to create that path like that. If I were to click and drag, it's going to create the path like that. So that path preview or that rubber band is really helpful. I'm going to stop illustrating by hitting Command and then clicking off, just so I can come here with the direct selection tool and show you a couple of things. First, when you click on an anchor point, if it's a curve, it's going to have handles. There's this handle that'll control this curve if we had one, and this handle controls this curve. If I go further out, it starts to pull it like a magnet. If I go in, it's going to squeeze it. So it kind of tries to follow that handle like a magnet. If I go down, it's going to deflate that curve or it's going to inflate that curve. The good news with this is that if you mess up any of your curves, you can come over here and you can adjust anything to fix it after the fact. So as long as you have the basic curve going in the right direction, then you can come and fix it later. Notice that these don't have any curves, these bottom handles, but if they did, if I wanted to make this into a circle, I can keep going with this illustration and I can come over here and pull it down, and then see how this one, see how this one doesn't have a handle? So we'll get to that in just a second. So I'm going to Command click off, and I'm going to just practice this by again going up in the direction of the curve and then going down to pull that other handle. And again, you can adjust things, Command click. You can adjust things by clicking and adjusting the handle. Ooh, crap. Grab the direct selection tool for that, not the pen tool. Okay. All right. So again, if you want to start in different places, I'm going to go the direction and then go this way. Command click off. If I wanted to create this curve, I'm going to again move that first handle in the direction I want the curve to go, and then do the opposite so that that back handle can create the back end of that curve, and then Command click. So what would you do if you wanted to create a curve that went that way? I want you to try that out. So now if we go to 4, this is where you're going to do curves up and down. And so how we do this is we're basically just going to follow the connect the dots. We're going to click and drag up, click and drag down to this point, click and drag up. And I really should have taken that fill off because it's harder to see what this looks like with that. And you can take it off after the fact and see how my curves aren't quite right. Again, let me just select this, get rid of that fill, and then I can grab that direct selection tool and click on each anchor and start adjusting their handles. So it looks like this one's handle maybe needs to come out this way. Maybe this one needs to come out that way. And I think this handle is a little bit too wild. So you can adjust again to make it look correct. All right. So this one's a little bit weird. The next one, because what happens if you just want to keep going up? Well, you can change the direction. Gosh darn it, it's because I'm selected on that, and every time I zoom in, it's going to go to what was selected. So you can change the direction of the second handle you're creating, and you can swing it up by holding the Alt or Option key. So this gives you the first method. What happens if you release the mouse button here? Can you still swing it up? And this is going to show you how to swing it up mid-draw. So let me show you how to do this. We're going to click and drag up, and then we're going to click and drag down. And then if I let go, I can then hover over this handle and choose Alt or Option on my keyboard, hold it, and then swing that handle up to go in a different direction. So that's important to know, is that when you have an anchor point, that back handle controls this curve, but this handle controls this curve. And if you want this curve to go up, it's got to swing up again. So again, I'm going to click and drag down. If I let go of my mouse, I can hold Alt or Option and swing that back up. Now, how do I do that mid-draw without letting go of the mouse? That's easy. We click and drag down. Without letting go of the mouse, I'm going to hit Alt or Option and swing it up. So I'm going to click and drag down, hold Alt or Option, swing it up, and then click and drag down. All right, so try that with the practice area underneath. And then this is where you come to learn how to create curves and straight lines. So to do this, we're going to click and drag up. Then we're going to click and drag down. But the problem is, now that we have this back handle, it thinks that you want the next line to be curved, which if I were to click here, that doesn't help me. I want it to be straight. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the anchor point we just created, and you can see if we hover over it, it has this little wedge next to it. That's telling you that you can turn the last handle into a corner point by clicking. So we got rid of that last handle by just going back to the anchor point and clicking. So then if I click on 3, because that's going to give me that straight line, now when I go to draw, it thinks that I want to draw a straight line because I didn't drag out a handle for the curve. Well, if I undo it and I do drag out the handle for the curve, see how that creates this curve in this back line? So again, that can't happen either. So I'm going to click, but this time I'm going to go back, and instead of just clicking, because it's already a corner point, I'm going to click and drag out to drag a handle. So basically you're just going back to the anchor point and you're clicking to either get rid of a handle if there was one, or clicking and dragging to add a handle if there wasn't one. So again, I'm going to pull this out, and because I want this to be a straight line, I want to get rid of this handle. I'm just going to click, and then I click there, and I do need this one to be curved, so I need to go back and drag a handle out and then make the curve. All right, so that's the basics of being able to work with the pen tool, is just your ability to click and drag and how to change things to a corner anchor point and how to swing that handle up to create the direction of the curve you want to create. In the next video, I talk about how to actually practice more with the pen tool. So if you really want to master Illustrator, I highly recommend that you watch that video. It's not mandatory. It's not like you have a pen tool assignment for this week, but I wanted to make sure and let you know that that video is available if you want to master it.